bakers. Today we are in my home kitchen again and we are making chocolate ice cream. So I have a helper today. This is Vivian. She's a very good baking helper. So the type of ice cream we're going to make today is going to be a custard style ice cream. I like it because it really gives me a lot of flexibility with flavor. Another type of ice cream is called Philadelphia style ice cream, and Philadelphia style ice cream does not use eggs. It just uses milk, cream, sugar, and flavoring. And so I'm going to do chocolate ice cream because that's what we like to eat in this house. And that's going to start off by adding egg yolks. It's just a couple here and some sugar. So it's basically like making a creme anglaise. I'm mixing the egg yolks together with the sugar. I have some salt. I have a little bit of ice cream stabilizer, which you don't need to use, but I feel like it improves the textures. What's that, honey?
Mom, it's my turn.
That'll be your turn. Just a second. Okay, and so as you can see, it's very light and pale. As you can see on that light there, it's light and pale. You don't need to whip it. The goal is to combine the egg yolks and sugar mixture. It is not to incorporate air in that, so it's not like you're whipping some kind of a meringue. This is my milk and my cream already combined, and I'm just going to heat that on the stovetop. Let's get all these things that you can knock over out of the way. And we're going to heat this and bring it to a boil just like you would for a creme anglaise style custard sauce. So with this chocolate ice cream, I like to use both chocolate and cocoa powder. I feel like the cocoa powder gives it a little bit more, the cocoa powder gives it a more chocolatey dark taste to it, like a fudgy taste, whereas the chocolate itself helps us get a little bit more mileage out of that real chocolatiness. Gives it a really dark, rich flavor. Usually, I actually like to cut the dark chocolate with milk chocolate because the milk chocolate just has a little bit more flavor in there. And so when you have the milk chocolate in there, it just makes a better rounded chocolate flavor instead of just being dark, dark, dark chocolate. So, but I don't have any milk chocolate, so we're just going to go with bittersweet chocolate and see how it takes us. Okay, so the milk has just come to a boil, but before I pour it in here, I'm going to add the cocoa powder to my egg mixture. It's going to make this really, really thick.
Hey, Mom, you saw you talking now.
Well, this isn't chocolate, this is cocoa powder. Yeah. I'm going to mix in a little bit of this milk cream mixture to give a little bit of moisture. So this is a Dutch cocoa powder. It's also called breakfast cocoa. It's a pretty high quality cocoa powder. We use it for everything at the bakery. Makes great chocolate cake. Yeah, it really does. So I'm really trying to whisk this to not only make sure it's combined, but to make sure all those lumps are out with the cocoa powder. It's a great color. It's nice and shiny. All right, get the rest of this mix in here. Yeah, it's nice and shiny. So the reason that I like to add the cocoa powder to the custard mix when we go to cook it is because I feel like cocoa sometimes has that like chalky taste if you were trying to eat it directly. So cooking that cocoa powder a little bit helps to bring out just the more chocolatey flavor in that. Okay, so it's going back in its pot here, and I'm going to bring it. Back to. You really just need to pasteurize this mix because of the eggs. So it really only needs to go to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. But instead of sitting here trying to hold the instant read thermometer with it, I like to bring it up to being the boil, which is 212, but just barely. And so I like to tell people that you can take it off the heat when you see just one bubble pop, and that's how you know it's gotten there. And that's the only way you can really tell without holding a thermometer and really getting it all around the pot that it's actually over pasteurization temperature. Okay, so I've got this over the heat. It's at a medium to medium high heat, depending on the heat of your burner. You don't necessarily need to blast it right on high, but you don't want to take too long. So you want to do this as efficiently as you can while you can keep up with whisking. You want to whisk this constantly while it's cooking so that you don't get any burnt bits on the bottom of the pot. Every so often, what I'm going to do is I am going to stop whisking just for a second to see if there's any bubbles in there, which there is not. You can also kind of feel the mixture thicken as you whisk it around here. And you do also have to be careful of overcooking this so that, like I said, when it does come to that point where one bubble pops, you want to make sure that you get it off the heat as fast as possible after that. And that way you don't overcoagulate your egg yolks. Okay, so I've actually come up to heat. If you can, I can see it just barely in the corners there. There's some bubbles popping. So I'm ready to go ahead and pour this over my chocolate. Here we are back at our bowl, and Vivi's going to pour in the chocolate for us. Whoops. Okay, pour it in the bowl. There you go. Get it all in there. Get all of it? Okay. I know, it's really hard and you want to eat it. You ready? I'm going to pour this ice cream mix over that.
Mom, I make it after. Mom, I make it. Mom, I make
Not this, no. You can lick the ice cream. Okay. All right, so I'm pouring the ice cream base over the chocolate.
Me too.
You can see it's pretty thick already. Now, if this were going into a professional ice cream machine, I would let it cool overnight, especially if it's a big batch. But this is going into my home machine. So I'm going to get it cold and let it chill and let it chill out just a little bit. And we'll freeze it in a couple hours. All right. So what I've got here is I've got my KitchenAid ice cream attachment set up. And here is what's called the dasher. And with this model, I'm supposed to turn it on before I pour it in. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to pour in my ice cream. churn until it's frozen. It should take about 10 to 12 minutes, and I'll show you the right consistency when it's done. Okay, so this is the right consistency. You can see it actually looks a little bit soft. And then I'm actually going to use my favorite tool is a wooden spoon to get this out of here and into my container. Now my container has also been in the freezer because you want everything to stay as cold as possible. What you need to do is you need to let this ice cream try to sit in a freezer for at least 24 hours if you can to cure it, and then it'll get the proper consistency. Okay? My assistant is really eager to try here, but she'll get to try some later.
Mom, I'm
And that is making ice cream.